Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well and having a good week. Welcome to the Lesson 8 Asynchronous Lesson Introduction. My apologies for posting this on Thursday, but as you know I was in Winnipeg until Wednesday morning and then had some interesting travel arrangements, so I'm posting this Thursday, so hopefully that's okay. I have made some adjustments to the lesson itself that allows for the compressed time frame, so hopefully that will help out a little bit. So what I'm going to do in this intro is just an overview of the lesson and talk about what you're going to find on this page. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to ask you a poll, so you'll find it below. I want to do a little bit of a check-in to see how people are doing with their WBLT. Sounds like I'm ordering fast food at a restaurant. Review paper, and the reason I'm doing this is because in the stop start continue feedback that I've received so far, and there's also an option for more of that later on this page, I've received some questions about the paper itself, and so I'm looking at making some modifications about the paper, but I just want to see where people are at before I go ahead and start being responsive and making some changes. So I'm going to ask you to fill out this poll before our next class on Tuesday, and then that way I can get a sense of where people are at and what an appropriate course of action would be for supporting you. The other thing that you'll find on this page is a little bit of an instructional video on the difference between web-based learning tools and web-based learning objects. I just create a little video below that could provide some clarity on the difference between those two elements. In addition to that, you'll also find a reading. Now this reading is going to lead us into our activity for the week, and I want to talk about that next. So I'm going to kind of talk about those two things in conjunction with one another. So what I've done with this activity, as I mentioned in Tuesday's class, I was going to ask you to create a multimedia video describing an instructional design principle. So if you take a look below, you'll see a table with a list of instructional design principles. There's 7 of them, and your name will be associated with one of the instructional design principles. So the idea was that I was going to ask you to read the chapter and create a multimedia presentation that explained the instructional design principle. So because I'm posting this on Thursday, I don't actually feel it'd be fair to require you to do that much work between now and Tuesday. So what we're going to do is, for the purpose of the lesson, I'm going to ask you to do the reading, and you can see instructions on that below, and have in mind some key questions. Again, those are posted below. You do not have to make a instructional video. We're going to do that in our synchronous class on Tuesday. So I'm going to move that activity to Tuesday, but you do, in preparation for Tuesday's class, need to do the reading for the chapter that you've been assigned, and again you can find that in the table below. The other thing that I've added in terms of a discussion for the purpose of this week's lesson is just a little bit of a discussion about showcasing your work, and I'm going to talk about that in more detail in just a second. And then, as usual, there is a section where you can go a little bit deeper and look at some other links and articles and videos that are related to instructional design principles. So in terms of the discussion that I'd like you to reply to on this page, as I mentioned in our class on Tuesday, hopefully you like this photo. I really think it's cute. That's how I feel right now. I think that the work that you're all doing on your web-based learning objects is tremendous. A lot of people, everyone's putting in a lot of time and effort and thought and consideration into their work, so I really appreciate that. And as I was going through the rooms, I was just wondering if there was a way that we could potentially showcase your work beyond the context of the course. And I know we are going to do our little showcasing presentations at the end of the course in the last class, but I'm just wondering if it's possible for us to, kind of send it out into a wider spectrum. And I have some thoughts on my own, and I'm going to contribute to the discussion myself as well. But I'm going to ask you to, give your thoughts. And so this can include whether or not you actually are interested in kind of showcasing the work beyond the context of the course, what that would look like, what platform would be appropriate to do that in. And I'm really just looking for an open discussion just relating to how we could possibly share your work to a wider audience. So that's what you're going to find in this lesson. I hope you enjoy the week and the weekend. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them as a comment on this page, or you can send me an email.